Hi, it's Russ from Pro Tools Expert, and we have ourselves a copy of the brand new BFD3. And we've done a written review on the site, so if you read that already, you know the punchline. But this is a show and tell, so you can hear it, you can see some of the new stuff in action. If you're a BFD user already, then you're going to have a little shock, because as you can see, the GUI is somewhat different than previous incarnations. It's much flatter, much easier to get around. So gone of the kind of gear porn skeuomorphic type of real drums, and you've got this much more clean, flat, and very simple layout, which gives us this left-hand browser, this center console area, and then this detail area on the right. And very intuitive. If you've not used BFD before, then you're really going to fly around this. And in fact, you can do most things without reading the manual. The good news is an extensive manual online, which for manual readers will keep you up for a couple of days. So that's all there. But generally, if you've not used it before, if you have used BFD, then you'll find yourself flying around this. A couple of highlights straight away to mention. There's now an option to shrink or extend this browser depending on the screen. Now I've got a huge screen, so I could have one that goes all the way across there, and we can make that smaller or larger depending on what we want to get real estate back or to lose real estate. On the left hand side we have our browser here, which is presets, kits, the drums, the grooves, and the automation mapping. And in the center here then we have the kit representation at the top here, which we can drag around. And you click on them, you'll see here it's depending on how you've got this set between select and link, it will select the different drums. Then we have the effects side, so that's where we can do all our effects stuff. And again, you can see it's very much flatter now. It's not sort of trying to pretend to be real versions of the stuff. Then there's the groove editor, which is very deep. And if you've got all three of these windows set, you've got the selector here, you've got the palette on the right here, and then you've got the detail editing here and the drag and drop at the bottom here, where you can drag and drop your different parts in and build up a drum part. So you can literally build an entire drum part within BFD3 without even opening a door. And as you can see, I'm using this in standalone mode. And then you can export those out or save it all and then bring it back into your DAW later. Then the fourth one we have is key map as well, where we can set up our key maps of both sounds and grooves. As you can see, they're being played from the keyboard here. So those are the four areas. So let's go back again. Let's go back, and these are the presets, so we can listen to them, of course, audition them. And we can go in and we can obviously mix it as we used to before. One cool feature now is we can actually make this large or small, so we can basically collapse all the articulations into one fader setting, into this mini mixer. And then we can go in some detail afterwards and open them up. Very useful. So you've got less kind of real estate to be contending with at times. So for example, if we looked at the ambience channels and then we went into them once they're wide open, you can see here we've got all the overheads and the mono mics. And if you've not used BFD before, then there's this nice little thing as well where you hover over the channels and it shows you where things have been sent to. So we can see that the overheads have been sent to 1 and 2's reverbs here if we want to use them. And then so we can go in here and we can bring stuff up and then collapse it back down to be just a single ambient fader, which is very nice. So let's go into some detail now and show you how different things can be done. So we can start playing something like the snare here. Come into our drums here and start to audition them. So I like that when I just hit the tick now and it will start to load all the other articulations in. See how fast it is. Now one of the cool things I want to say straight away is they've created this new lossless compression format. It means that the 162GB sample library only occupies 55GB of your hard drive space. Very smart. It comes on a 64GB stick when you buy it. and you can then load it in. And as I say, it takes up over 100 gigabytes less than it should of your hard drive because of this new lossless compression format they've created. So that's very nice. As I say, you can go through and you can just choose articulations and listen to them. So we can try these different kick drums. So I like that one, and I hit the tick button again, and then hit pause. And again, I could open this wide up now, push the kick sub up a bit more. Then we have some nice features here. So we have the effects feature where we can actually plug effects into each part. So there's the kick drum. One of the nice new ones in here as well is that we now have a transient processor in the dynamics, and we get the decam envelope shaper. Which will give me either more attack or less, or more sustain. So there's all our effects inserts in there as well. Then we have our sends. And sends are pretty easy to set up as well. What we basically do is we can come in here, we can hit the click button there, we can add an auxiliary channel. That comes in here, hit the, just give it a name for now, verb. And I'm going to create that as a reverb. I'm going to click on there. Spatial, I'll go for the reverb plate, which is a very nice one. Then we come here now, we just choose verb on here. It's as simple as that. Then we've got this nice feature called tweaks as well, where we can get things nice and damp or nice and loose. Do our tuning here. Bit more reverb on that now. Now on the ambient side as well, if we come into the wider mixer, we can then come in here and do things like we can widen out our overheads. If you've got a pair of headphones on, you'd hear that going, make them further apart. And if you actually go back to the kit, we'll actually see this going on. We can actually see a visual representation. The overheads are moving as I change the distance there. 34 meters away. Room as well. So you can see you can really tweak it. And if you want to go really deep, we can then go in even further here and deal with the ambient mics and the spillage of them, cymbal swell, the articulations, the tom resonance. It really can go very deep. Then we can come in the grooves. Now, not only does it ship with a load of great live drum sounds, but it also ships with an enormous library of grooves. Now, when you first open it, you probably think that this is the list of grooves, but this is the list of grooves that then break down into the patterns within that groove. So I'd almost treat this like a song list, and then this as a groove list. And then if you open this groove editor up, we then have our palette here, and we have our editor here as well, and we can build a track up here. We can do things like quantize it, we can humanize it to make it sound like I'm playing the drums, we can change the swing, we can change the weight. We can also add normalization to drums. So if we've got a snare drum, we want it to stay nice and tight, we can go into the audio section again of the kits and the drums, and we can normalize those as well. So huge amount of stuff you can do, and again you can then go through and just start auditioning. As you see, we come down here, these are all the patterns it's made up of. You can see here where it's actually playing in respect of the whole song area. So if we go back to the beginning, this song that's playing at the moment, you can see it down here going along Funk Ride. And it's going through here. So if we want to go into one of these, we can go in and just check it out in here. So let's play that one. Start changing your things. Me playing. We'll swing it. Change the velocity. You can humanize that velocity. So you can see in terms of actually creating grooves, it's enormously powerful, and I'm actually scratching the surface. I'm just kind of trying to give you a very fast show and tell of what is an incredibly deep and incredibly powerful drum VI. Other cool features as well, of course, is we can export, and the export features are incredibly powerful as well. We can choose to export all of the stuff or just parts of the stuff. We can sync it either free, sync it to arrange within the groove editor, or we can host sync it as well. So the minute we press the play on our DAW, then it will start to export that as well. Now, for those of us using DAWs that are using offline bounce, it's probably likely that we use that. But of course, when you're doing the export from this, you're exporting every channel as well. So you could bounce this all out to a folder and then just simply drag and drop it back into your DAW. Now this works in both AAX 64-bit for Pro Tools users and also in RTAS format, as well as VST and audio units and standalone. So if you're an RTAS user and you're not going to Pro Tools 11, then of course you can export from here and drag and drop it back in Pro Tools in less than real time, either in 16, 24 or 32-bit depths. Of course, there's also import features as well. In terms of sounds first, we can import our own samples, either single samples or multi-layered samples. We can import kits. We can also then go into the grooves, and we can do things like we can import BFD grooves or MIDI grooves as well. We can also import previous FXpansion libraries that you may have bought for BFD2, and of course some third-party formats that are compatible. And for example, you can see stuff from Platinum Samples here, who do a lot of stuff for BFD. And so there's a lot of stuff you already have. So if you're a BFD2 user already, then your stuff should work without any issue into BFD3. If you've read the review already, you know what the punchline is here. I think it's an incredibly powerful yet incredibly easy to get around drum VI. They've built on their existing reputation. They haven't sat on their butts and thought, you know what, we'll just throw some extra kits and some extra candy in and leave it as it was. They've kind of almost thought it from the ground up and brought up a really cool new interface that makes it very straightforward to use, and you can go as deep or as shallow as you need to do when you're doing your drum programming. If you're set up for candy as well, you can still switch like the eye on there, and you can still see the kit and see all its detail. So it can be also quite simple or quite gear porn if you really want to see all those kit parts. But I do like the flat VI, this new much cleaner VI. So some of you will have got so used to the old version of BFD that this is going to be a shock to your eyes. But as I said in my review, I'd rather be able to have a flat VI where I don't really have these kind of skeuomorphic gear pawn pictures of drums and really have great sounds, have it working very fast. And of course, some people don't often realise that graphics will take up processing power in any plugin. So having this very flat graphic makes it very straightforward to get around with this almost single window GUI now. And also, as I say, it sounds great. And I've given you just a few of the sounds. Let's just give you a few more. I'll give you some brushes kits. So let's just find a nice brush kit that so something like this should be nice. Let's try this baby. Let's have a see what this sounds like. And as you can see, the parts are loading. School, very popular these days. We're hearing this a lot on a load of tracks these days, the old kind of old school sound. And then flipping it over, we've then got pop kits that's a much tighter, much cleaner. Very dry, very 70s. One thing you will note is that different kits seem to have sometimes quite varied volumes, so just be careful when you're loading a kit in if you keep playing it while you're loading it in, because it might be a little hot when it comes in. Let's give you some hip hop. Now what you'll see there is two kicks are working together now. And if we go into actually the expanded view, they're all tied together there. Let's try some rock. Right, forgive the fade out there and the fade in, but the phone started ringing, so here we go again. Here's the soul groove. And some trash metal. Let's give that a, that's going to probably be and then swing jazz. Let's try one more before I kind of wrap this up. And you can see some of these have quite serious libraries coming in, and this is an indicator of the loading going on. Let's turn that up here. This is typically where I'd probably add some additional room into it. Tweak that a bit, nice and wide. So that's the distance. Bring that back in a bit more. Lovely. Hear that ride just going. Of course, we can actually hit that as well. Lovely long samples. So there we are. BFD3, Editor's Choice Award. It's powerful yet simple to use. If you want really great live drums with fantastic grooves, then this needs to be checked out. I think they've done a great job. They're brave by taking a departure from the original format with this new GUI. I think in doing so, they've given us a very powerful yet very straightforward interface to use and to get great sounds. You create your own stuff, but at the same time, there's so much stuff in there already that I think you are going to be happy. The one caveat I would say is if you're looking for kind of electronic drums and the kind of machine stuff, then this isn't the plugin for you. The guys at FXpansion do make some cool stuff like their analog drum modules. This is for great live drums. If you're looking for fantastic live drums, basically, as I said in my review, if you need a great drummer with great kits in a great room and you can't afford it or you just don't have the time, then this is perhaps the next best thing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.